Now that we've got everything made other than the content area here, I'm going to now next put in the picture that's at the top here. If we go ahead and clear the visibility of all those layers, you can see there is a picture up top here, and we're going to put a picture in of the actual building that it's going to be. Like I said before, this is just a fake website, so what I did is found a Google image, and then if you look here, I photoshopped it to say goods. I'll show you what it looked like beforehand. It actually looked like this, Globus. But just a few Photoshop skills, some beginner skills actually. You can switch out around. Those are the good letters to use to get goods. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up in our document. If you don't have it yet, you can download it via Canvas. There's a link on there. So let me go ahead back to this document here, and I'm going to bring these layers back on. Then I'm going to click on my top layer here. Now let's go ahead and drag this image in to our image area. Okay, now I'm going to position it up in the top area, very similar to this. Now I don't want it to actually be in the very upper right hand corner, but first go ahead and press enter on the keyboard, and I'm actually going to right click the layer here and rasterize it. And then we want to see the actual outline of the website here, both the gray and the reddish color here. So what we need to do is I'm going to click on the base layer, and then I'm going to click on the magic wand tool over here. Now just click the red area here, and you can see it casts a selection around where that red layer is on the base layer, or the red part of the base layer. Now we want to stay zoomed out so we can see the whole page here. And we're going to click on the Polygonal Lasso Tool. If you don't see it in your toolbar, it'll be right underneath the Lasso Tool. And make sure that Subtract from Selection is activated. And what we're going to do is subtract this whole area out here out of our selection. So I'm going to hover over about the edge of the logo here, that logo tab. And then I'm going to go over, say, about 10 pixels, making a decent distance between the image and that logo tab. So about right here. Then I'm going to drag down holding shift. Now I'm going to stop shy about 10 pixels from the bottom of the image. Click. And then go all the way to the right and go outside your selection about right here. Click. And then you don't have to hold in shift anymore, but you're going to want to click down here, click over here, go to the top, click here, and then close this off. So now we just have a selection similar to this. Now, if I take the picture layer off, you can see the selection is right around the edge of the red. And we don't quite want that. So what we're going to do, let me turn this goods layer back on. And I'm going to go to image, excuse me, not image, select. Go down to modify and go to contract. And I'm going to contract this by about 5 pixels. Click on OK. And then what I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit. And then I'm going to press Control-Shift-I. What that does is inverses the selection. Control-Shift-I is the short command for select and inverse. So now what I'm going to do is press the delete button, but I want to make sure my goods layer is selected first. And then I'm going to press delete. Now I'm going to press Control D, and now you can see that gives a nice small 5 pixel red border right around the image here. Okay, the design is looking pretty good now. So what we can do is start now putting the text in and some of the small subtle design elements. So let's actually click and drag down all the visibility buttons, and let's take a look here. We have our navigation bar. We have a latest news section. We have a support number. We have welcome to our site. And we have company profile. Now, obviously, this is for an architecture, probably an engineering type of website, and ours is going to be a department store. So we are going to have a navigation bar very similar to this, but this is going to be the departments in our store. So we'll have apparel, maybe some electronics, maybe some housewares, gardening, things like that. So what we can do now is go ahead and start putting the text in, and then we will want to put some type of separation between the buttons here. Most of this other text is going to be put in within Dreamweaver, because the latest news, that's going to be something that it will be updated on a regular basis. So you don't want to have that put in as an actual image. So what we need to do is actually put an area in Dreamweaver that is editable easily. So let's go ahead and start with the navigation bar here on the left hand side. So what I'm going to do is actually just turn on only the left sidebar. And then I'm going to bring the opacity down for that. Let's do about 60. So now what I want to do is pick on the text tool. Then we want to pick a good font. One font that works well in Dreamweaver is Arial. So let's go ahead and click on Arial. And then the point value, it's going to be similar to say how a Word document would be. Let's start with 18. Yeah, that should be pretty good. And we have a darker background here for the navigation bar. So what I'm going to do is change the text color, which it is right here, to a whitish color. Actually, I'm just going to go a little down towards the gray, not a pure white. Then I'll click on OK, and then I'm going to type out home. And actually what I'm going to do is left align the text, so highlight it and click on the left align button. And so I'm going to put that right where the home is. And then an easy way to copy, make sure you're on your move tool, holding Alt on the keyboard. Now you can see that your cursor turns into a double arrow, so you can click and drag and it's going to make a copy, but as you're dragging you can go straight down, or if you hold in shift while holding Alt and dragging, it will only bring it straight down. You can see I'm going left and right and it's locked in the vertical position. So I'm just going to let go right there, then I'm going to copy that again, and what we're going to do is just edit all this text that we're copying right now. Put that there again, and one more time here. Okay, looks good. Now what we have to do is change all the text here. Home is obviously going to stay the same, the first one. But then we're going to have to change these to the departments that's going to be in our store. At this point what I'm going to do is actually let's turn on all our other layers, and then let's turn our left sidebar back up to 100%. So we're getting a good look at this. And I'm going to click back on my text tool, and actually the other day in class we brainstormed here on what we wanted our actual text to be, and this is what we came up with. Links must include, other than home, apparel, toys, electronics, pet supplies, and gardening. So I'm going to go ahead and change all the names to that. So I'm going to click on apparel, and click back on the move tool whenever you change it, and then toys, electronics, let me look back at the list here, pet supplies, and gardening. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in here. And actually I'm going to turn my base off again, and I'm going to bring the opacity down again. And I'm just going to make sure my words that I inserted are aligned right up to the bottoms of the existing words. So my home here, if you hold in control and then click that area, you can see it changes what layer you're on. Then I'm going to nudge that up just a tad bit. Toys looks good. Electronics needs to come up, so holding control, click electronics. And yours may be on. I'm just adjusting mine because they are obviously off. So I'm going to click here, pet supplies, move that down 1 pixel, and then gardening looks good. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. And then I'm going to drag the opacity back up for the left sidebar, and then turn the base back on. And that looks like it's lined up much better now. Now what we need to do, if we turn the base off and then the left sidebar off, it has these nice lines that section out each of the buttons. So I'm going to select those. So I'm going to make sure this contiguous is selected. And then I'm going to zoom in here and make sure you're on the background layer. And I'm going to click on here, and you can see it's not getting exactly what I want. So I'm going to press Control D. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. I'm going to click right in here. Okay. We need to up the tolerance a bit. Let's try about 40. That is a little bit better. It's still a little too thick. I like the real nice thin line here, so let's up it a bit more to about 60. And it's still not doing what I want it to do. Let's do a Control D. It's not doing what I want it to do. So let me actually uncheck contiguous. Okay, that is not bad. What I need to do though, let's do a Control D. You can see it selected part of the lettering here, so I'm going to do a Control D. Let's bring the tolerance down. Let's try about 25, but make sure you have contiguous unchecked. Let's pick here again. Okay, I'm gonna back up and make sure it did not. Okay, we can see that I have a few spots that it had still selected other than these lines. So what I'm going to do is pick on my Lasso Tool, and you can see that right along in here, all up around here, you can see those selection areas. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have subtract from selection on. Then I'm just going to draw a circle all around those areas, and then it should have subtracted that from the selection. And let me zoom out. I'm going to try and make sure that it didn't select anything else. Actually, I'm going to turn all my other layers off just to make sure that it didn't select anything else. No, that looks pretty good. I'm going to zoom back in here, and okay, it looks like it selected exactly everything now that I wanted. So what I'm going to do, now that I have the selection cast, I'm going to turn all these layers back on. And then let's go ahead and click on our left sidebar layer, and then I'm going to zoom in here a bit, and let's actually turn this off and base off one more time. And it looks to be pretty much about the same color as the text. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pick on my foreground color, and then I'm going to match the color of the text. Click OK. Let's make sure left sidebar is selected, and I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to make sure foreground color is selected, and then click on OK. And now let's do a Control D, and it ended up putting a little extra in there. Which I don't think looks too bad. The only thing I want to do though, I'm gonna touch it up. You can see it's hanging over the edge here. So I'm actually gonna draw a selection box from the edge here around here. Make sure left sidebar is selected, and then just press on delete. And then I'm going to press a Control D. So I'm going to keep that little film that showed up around. I kind of like the outlined line. If yours did not do that, that's still fine. All we're really trying to do is create separation between the navigation bar buttons, which is important for a visual effect, or more of an aesthetic value. And you can see that actually looks really good. That really separates all those buttons apart here, and it looks nice. Now that we have most of the graphics done on the website, we can start doing some of the text. So I'm going to hide the layers here all the way down to our template, and we can take a look at some of the text that we have. Latest news, that can stay. Stores always have news about things. Where it says welcome to our site, generally that may be on a smaller retail website, but most bigger websites, it will say here something like new arrivals, and then down here it may check out our summer styles or fall styles, just depending on what season they are leading into. So what we're going to do is start creating some of the text here, and I'm going to turn all our layers back on, and I'm going to lower the opacity like we have before so we can see some of these. And you can see our picture is covering up some of the text, which is okay. We can shift some of this stuff down here. There's quite a bit of space. And over here, actually, we want to bring down the left sidebar opacity as well so we can see that. This area down here could say something like customer support 24/7. You don't have to put the 24/7. It's up to you, really. You're making the design. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to try and keep the same text as what's in our navigation bar, but it may look a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is click on my text tool. I'm going to click on, actually before I do that, let me hide the picture here so we can actually see what we're working with. I'm going to actually I'm going to make it right over this other one. And that was an Arial font. and this is going to say new arrivals. Maybe give it an exclamation point there. And then we also want to do the line down below here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to cast a 1 pixel selection. So if I click underneath here, we're actually going to go to the single row marquee tool, and I'm just going to click right there. But then we don't want it to go the whole way across down here, so I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool, and make sure you click on subtract from selection, and I'm going to click and drag out to about right here. And then you can see here it runs right, the original one line, it ran right into the side here. So what I want to do is click on my left sidebar, bring the opacity back up, and the base, I'm going to bring that opacity back up. Now we want it to be the same color as this gray, and I'm actually going to make the text the same color as that gray. So I'm going to match this color, click on OK, do an edit, fill, and you can do this. Actually, I'm going to do this on a new layer because we are going to be moving this down, because if you remember, this is where our picture is. So I'm going to click on new layer. Actually, I'm going to hit cancel here. Got ahead of myself. Go ahead and make a new layer, and this will be, I'm just going to put line here. We'll end up merging it with the base layer at some point here, but beforehand we're going to go to edit fill, and then we're going to fill it with foreground color, and then click on OK. Then we can press Control D, and you can see it puts a nice line there. And then I'm actually going to click back on my text tool and then edit this color to match. And that looks pretty good. Alright, let's drag the line up right by new arrivals. Now let's go ahead and turn the goods picture back on, and then I'm gonna select new arrivals and line by holding in shift, and then I'm just gonna use my arrow key to my down arrow key to bring this down a bit. And we can see we have a line that appeared right across the screen here. I'm gonna undo, and oh, that is on. Let me look here. Oh, I think that's just maybe a pixel glitch. Okay. I haven't run into one of those in a long time. So, did you guys see that? Whenever I zoom in here, there's a line that appears. Yeah, you can see it right here. That is not on there. There's at times where Photoshop will glitch a little bit and make something appear that actually is not there. So that's one of them rare instances right there. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just shift this up a little bit here. That's pretty good right there. This shouldn't cause any problems whenever we get to export. It's just kind of there as I'm zooming in and out. You guys may have seen that before, may not have. You may run into it at some point, you may not. It's just one of those weird glitchy things that happen in software. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here. We'll say new arrivals here. I'm actually gonna copy these two lines by holding in Alt while my move tool is selected, and then I'm going to click and drag down, and if you hold in shift while you're doing that, it will drag it straight down. And then I'm going to let that go right there. Now I'm going to change this text to say check out our summer styles, because we're in May right now, so summer's right around the corner, and so that's what I'll put on there. And this will most likely change on any website per season, so that's why they have web designers like this, and they go in and change and update their websites. So I'm actually going to change the size of this text a little bit. So I'm going to highlight it. Let's do about a 24 point. It's more of one of the subheadings here. And over here I'm going to put latest news, but I'm gonna actually match this charcoal color right here. Click on OK. I'm gonna grab the text tool, and then I'm gonna put this over here, and this will be latest goods news. I'm going to highlight that, bring that down to about 14 point. And then I'm going to move this down here. And actually, let's go ahead and bring the opacity down on a couple of these layers. And then I want to match the position of where this other one is. Right there. And now, like I said before, this text is most likely going to be done in Dreamweaver, so that's what we are going to do with these. We're just going to put the titles here. Now let's go ahead and turn the visibility back on of our base and the left sidebar. And one thing we still need to do is change the color. Whoops. Change the color of this text, and I want to match this charcoal color. And then we'll go from here. Let me think. That's pretty good. Right now, basically, the images are going to be changing pretty much from month to month, or whenever new arrivals show up, and like I said, for the seasons. So we don't necessarily have to put images in here, but overall, for the structure of the website, or for the home page rather, this is a pretty good start. There's only one other thing that I think we need to put on, and that is the copyright down at the bottom here. All websites should have a copyright on them. So I'm going to use the text tool, go down here, and I'm just going to put multimedia design copyright, we'll say 2014. And I'm actually going to change the text to this so it's a little bit different. Actually, let me make it more subtle. More of a standard type of fonts here, and I'm going to click. Actually, I'm going to press Control A. That's select all, and then you can see it puts the selection around everything. And then I'm going to click on that text layer, and you can see that we have alignment tools up here. So I'm going to click on the horizontal line, and that'll pop it right in the middle of the page, which is good there. So I'm going to press Control D to deselect. And actually, let's fill this area in before we finish up here. So I'm going to put in some text in here. I'll put 1-800. Actually, let's make sure you put the dashes. 555 5555. How about that? And I'm actually going to make a different font for this one. Actually, I'm going to leave it with we'll make it that Arial rounded. So here's this. Actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit. And then I'm going to actually copy this up here. And then I'm going to edit this and put an email. And I'm going to put let's put customer service. Whoops, actually let's do all lowercase. At goods dept.com. And I'm gonna actually, let me put this at the bottom here, and then I'm going to move the number up. Let me click back here. And then I'm going to copy this text again here, and then I'm going to just put a few words in here. Let's say contact our customer support. then I'm going to make this larger. And that's maybe a little bit too large. Okay, that's good there. Okay, I think that's pretty good right there. Actually, I'm gonna adjust the text just a little bit on here. I'm gonna highlight it all, and we need to locate our character panel, which is right here in the options bar, and that is the leading that we have to bring down a tad bit. I'm just gonna put that there. And then I'm going to just nudge it down a little bit. And overall, I think we've got a pretty good design. But I am going to adjust one thing. I'm going to make this text that charcoal color. It just blends in with the background a little bit too much. The darker color will make it pop a little bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and click here, change that, and let me do this one down here also. I think that's easier to read against the reddish background. And I'm going to leave that line because it's still going to match up with that gray background. So overall for our home page, this is pretty much completes the actual design within Photoshop for the structure of the website. So the next tutorial will be working with Dreamweaver in making the divs and slicing this picture apart. So we'll be back and forth between Photoshop and Dreamweaver from this point on.